Okay, back in the workshop, accompanied by the rooster. Now, today's mission is to put up the first piece of framing. I'm going to put up the first piece by the storage bin on the bulkhead because I want to frame out the bulkhead and then I can do the walls. The challenge for me is that this is the wood, 75 by 25, or is it 50 by 25? I think it's 50 by 25. Anyway, this is the wood. And I need to countersink the screw so that it will go through the wood and into the middle where I want it to go. So I bought some special countersinking things here. So I've got these, a whole set of these ones here. So I've watched a YouTube video on how to do those, which has been very helpful. But the hole it creates isn't deep enough for the screw to go all the way through and then into the next piece of wood. So I watched another YouTube video and it said if I drilled a hole bigger and then didn't go all the way through, maybe halfway, and then did the countersink bit, that would work. So I got out the biggest drill bit I could find and it actually worked. So if we have a look at it here, that actually worked. It went through and a decent amount of screw came out the other end. My anxiety, of course, is going to be I'm going to have an accident with a drill and go all the way through and bugger it up. Anyway, that's the mission today. Let's see if it works. Okay. First piece of wood is done. Quite a milestone, really. Lots of swearing, I must admit, time out, things like that. However, this is what I've done. So what I wanted to do was attach the piece of wood to this metal piece, and then I can build off here for the frame of the bulkhead. To secure it, we've got 6 of these screws, which are self-tapping screws, into the metal, which were countersunk so it could reach through and get a good purchase on the wood. I've also glued it in place. So I'm going to take a moment, recompose myself, and then contemplate what the next step is. But first piece of wood up on the van. Right, so this is the tricky part of the build. It's kind of a which first option. So this is all the wiring. Well, most of the wiring is just a couple of units, but this is basically the wiring. This is part of the Van Lab kit set that was taken out of the old van. And now I have to figure out how to put it in the new van. I mean, it's all gobbledygook to me. I contacted Van Lab and they very nicely sent me the plans. When I explained what had happened, that the van got written off and I had to reinstall everything. So they sent me the plans, so I have the wiring plan. And now I'm just trying to figure out how to do it. So I've laid it all out to get some idea. It goes into one of the cabinets. When I put the cabinet back together, it was already attached. Some of it is attached. So I can't put the cabinet in until I've done a little bit of the wall. But I can't do that bit of the wall until I know where the wire goes through to connect to the starter motor for DC to DC charging. So my plan is to take this spaghetti junction, lay it on the floor of the van to get an idea, then put the wall in, then put the cabinet in, and then I can lay the wires where they need to go. I'm thinking that's what I'll do. Oh, and I have another green colour to choose from. So this green turned out to be a bit bright. Didn't really work. This was, whoops, hang on. This was the first green, which I thought would be the best green. Didn't turn out to work. That was the second green that I thought would be the best green. That didn't work. But I've bought this green now, and this one's called Xanadu. And actually, that's not so bad. So maybe the colour will be Xanadu. Anyway, let's play with some electricity. Okay, as we know, I'm putting a kit set meant for a small van into a big van. and it's requiring some modifications. This turns out to be the trickiest bit. So this is the kitchen, and it goes in kind of a U shape like that. Now in the old van, this is the floor that goes with the kit, but in the new van I'm going to be lifting it up a bit, and I'm actually going to cut this bit out so you can walk through. Otherwise I'm going to have a piece of wood across here to frame it, so that won't work. So I'm going to cut out what I want and put it back in, but it's been a devil's job to try and get my head around how to do that, because some of the sides are cut out to make allowance for the wheel well in the other size van, so I might have to make new side pieces for that. So I ended up putting the kitchen back together in the garage to try and figure it all out. Then I got another piece of ply, and I have, you can barely see it, I have drawn around the shape of the kitchen. So what's going to happen in the van, I'll show you, I'll take you to the van. Right, thank God it hasn't rained, it keeps threatening to. Right, so here we are. So this obviously is the floor. What I'm going to do is, first of all, first layer, I'm going to put down that piece of lino that I bought for the other van. This is it here. So I'm trying to cut it out to the right size, and it will lay on this floor to protect it. And it will go under the kitchen kit set. For that lino, I've decided to bring it all the way to the end. I'm hoping that there's going to be a bit of a gap between the end of the kitchen and the end of the van, so I can stand up outdoor tables and things. That's the goal in my head. So the lino will come all the way to the end, but it's got to be cut out to shape so that the insert where I walk in will be in that nice tile that I've got. I'm only wanting the lino to protect underneath it. So my plan, put the lino down, build a frame across the back of the van, down the bottom, and eventually, so it'll sit on top of the wheel wells here. And then eventually I'll be able to have maybe pull out drawers or storage containers underneath. It just gives me more storage space. So the kitchen will start on sitting on top of the wheel wells. It probably will go up to about here, which is fine, because currently the kitchen's really low, because it's built to sit on a bed and work in the kitchen, whereas this one I can stand, so it's too low to stand and use. So if I lift it up on a new platform I'll build, then the kitchen will be a more workable height, which will be very good. So lino, build the frame, then I have to build a frame above that sits on the wheel well, which will then become the bottom of the kitchen. The new piece of plywood that I've got, the cutout of that will be the floor of the new kitchen sitting on the wheel well, and then there'll be the cupboards, and then there'll be the kitchen bench sitting on top of that. So that's the plan, but trying to get all these cutouts to work has been a bit of a nightmare, because they're not built for this van. And even this one here, I'm going to have to cut out a piece to fill in that gap there. This is the end of the bed, but it will also be a storage box. And then I have to leave room over there for the portaloo. So that's where I'm at today. Lots of diagrams, lots of stopping and starting to get it right. And just go back to step one, do the lino. Once I've done the lino, I will actually think I'll have a good template to then work out the frame I need for the kitchen. But that's what my head tells me. I'm not exactly sure if that'll work. Okay. Oh God, I hope I got it right. It's actually made it look less roomy than I anticipated, to be honest. So this will be where the loo sits, and then the kitchen will start here, and then it'll be raised. It'll go over that platform and leave about that much at the back. This is the cutout, which I hope I have done right, because I've just cut the vinyl. And so then if I glue that down and then use that as a template to build the frames, avoiding the cat. That should work. Now these pieces here, I'll take off the wheel arch protectors, put them underneath and screw them back down, so that'll hold it in. But I'll glue the vinyl on, and then I will screw it underneath the wheel hub things, and then it will also have the framing timber on top of it, which will be screwed into the base. So, oh, it sounds like the workman's trucks. We might have power. I've had no power all day. So that's what I'm thinking. So before I glue everything, I need to just mull it over and then come back and have a look in different light with fresher eyes and make sure I'm still happy with it before I start making anything too permanent. So then I'll put down the frame here, put some extra insulation in there to hold that insulation in, which hasn't stuck in all the places. But if I pack it full of other insulation, it will. Then the kitchen will come up to about here, I think, which will be quite a nice height. So we'll wait and see what happens next. Okay, so today we're continuing to work on preparing to do the framing for the kitchen. So what I did is on each side I put in some more insulation because it wasn't sticking right and there was a big gap to fill, you can see there. So I've done that there, and then I have created a bit of framing, bit of boxing to attach the kitchen to, and as well as the middle bar, where is it, there, will be the height of the kitchen floor area thing. Platform that it will sit on. So that's what it looks like uncovered, and then this is the final covering that I'm going to be using. Don't look, oh my god, look at that. But don't look, but look at that. Don't look, I said. Anyway, I learned that when cutting long pieces of sheet, to have something under the end where it's going to fall, or at some point gravity will take over and it'll just rip the bloody thing off. So anyway, that'll be covered by the kitchen, thank God. So this is temporarily tacked in place just to A, cover it up, and B, start to give me some idea. I think that overall the cutout for the wheelbase worked quite well, if I do say so myself. So that bit's finished, I think. That bit's nearly finished. I've just got to put the covering on. And then I can start to lay down some wood and get a sense of the framing that's going to be needed. So that's going to be a lot of measuring. So I'm just going to have a moment and take a moment before I start measuring, because, you know. Anyway, overall, job's a reasonable one. Okay. Okay, that'll do me for today. What we've got is we have got the base framing in. And it all measures correctly, which is a bloody miracle. So this side is where the kitchen will go against. I haven't put up the side bits. I was having trouble getting those, making sure they were level on both sides. So I figured if I did the floor bits and measured up from the floor, it will be more likely to be level than if I measured down from the ceiling. Graham and the other builders on my page, I hope to Christ that was the right thing. Anyway, so the kitchen comes out and goes down, and then it's got that little cutout for me, and then up, and then the kitchen finishes around about here, but we've got this extra little bit to make it fit in this van. So that's okay, because what I intend to do is find a way to make a little cupboard, and I can even put things in the cupboard. So it's just the framing. I've still got to put in some cross pieces here, and I'll measure them so that they fit in where the cabinets. Oh, but then I thought to myself, I don't need to bother. This is not what the kitchen sits on. This is just a base. But I hope to be able to, maybe, if I find a way to be clever, put in some pull-out drawers and things here, because this is the base unit. So if I put a divider down the middle, I could possibly get 2 pull-out drawers on that side, the height of the wheel wells, and maybe some other things. So I need to think about how I can utilise that the best. for storage. So that's that bit done. So I've only got to put in noggins, I think they're called, if it's a wall. So I've just got to put them in, and then that bit is done. And then I will be able to measure off the base the floating bit for that the kitchen will actually sit on. And then I can build the frame for that. But I would like to say, as far as framing the floor is concerned, job's a good one. Okay, today's job is turning out to be very difficult. I'm trying to do the upper frame, but it's kind of got a balance. I've got to get all the end bits screwed in before I put it up, and I lift up one side and the other side comes out, so I'm getting a little frustrated today. I think I need to build it in the garage and then lift it into place. It is not working. So I'm going to take a break, have a chill, and then I think it all needs to go into the garage, and if I've got any room at all in there, which I'm not sure I do, I need to build it in there and then bring it out, because this is not working. Ouch. So this is untidily what it looks like until I find my drill pieces, and I've searched high and low. They'll be somewhere obvious. So until I find them, I can't really screw it all in and tighten it up and what have you. But basically that's what the frame looks like, and then the kitchen's going to sit on top of it. Okay, so this is basically going to be the floor of the kitchen. So I've cut it out to shape, but I made a boo-boo. Obviously, I wasn't planning that little extension. So I have put that piece of wood in the wrong place, but I'll be able to cover that. So this is the floor of the kitchen, and what I need to do is take it, get the old kitchen floor out, use that as a template, because it's got little cutouts where the slots where the walls and things slot into, and they add that extra strength to it, so it will be important to have those. And I can't put it on until I've found my drill bits and have secured all the legs and the other bits and pieces. So what I know is that the bottom of the kitchen works, minus a little area. I now will get the actual kitchen floor and lay it on as the template and mark out where I need to do all the little slot cutouts. And yeah, quite exciting actually. Okay, next job. So because I have raised the kitchen, I've created this area here which I intend to use as more storage, which is great. So what I've done now is I have put some ply over the back door area, and I will now scribe with my pencil where the cutouts will be to enable stuff to be put in the back, but it will from the outside look tidier than my woodworking skills. Today I'm reminded very much of the song that we sing to children, Head, Shoulders, Knees and Toes, and we teach them that song to teach them about their different body parts. And now I realise that I'm actually using it just to explain where I hurt. So this is probably going to be my last job of the day because I'm a bit achy breaky hip. Okay, anyway, that's what I'm doing now. Okay, a couple of missions for this weekend. Now, oh, that wind blew. Just pull back over. Right, so this, as we know, is the kitchen platform that I've built. And this sitting on top of it is the template for the Van Lab kit. And you can see it's got all these little cutout bits. And that's where all the panels slide in. So what I've done is I have traced, I don't know if you can see, I've marked in each one, and then I will cut them out using the handy tool there so that I can fit the side panels in it. The other thing is, in order for this van to be able to be used, I need to be able to get the bed in, and at the moment I can't really get a mattress in here because everything's half built. So I want to focus on this area here. So you'll see the gap between the end of the Van Lab kit and the wall. And what I'm thinking is, if I build in a little cupboard that goes right along, it'll be a long skinny one, and then I can lift up the lid and store things in it, and then I can start to put the bed frame back together. So I need to put the insulation, the extra insulation that I bought, put that in there, thread the wires through, because that's also a wall where the power runs through, and then frame out how I will build the bed. So a few things to try and sort out this weekend. Looking forward to the challenge, and Billy is supervising, and we'll see how far we get. Okay, by the way, got the step put on, just needs a couple of final pieces to strengthen it, but that makes it a lot easier because at some point I'm going to forget that step somewhere. So what I've done in the back behind the rubbish bag is I have put down post things so I can screw the bed frame thing onto. I have added in the corner of the end of that cabinet just some down pieces to connect the extension to. I've put the extra insulation in the wall, and I have put the silver foil over the top, which I haven't done everywhere else, but that's going to be where I sleep, and that white insulation makes me a bit coffee, so just for an added layer of protection between me and the insulation. I started to do the cutouts using that tool. Really, it's going to take me a bloody eternity, so I'm going to have to come up with a plan B. What I might do is buy some brackets and bracket the kitchen panels down. I've bought another piece of lino, not the same kind, a different one. I quite like it actually, so I'll show you when it arrives. And I'll put the lino on the platform first to keep it all protected, and then I'll start to assemble the kitchen. I still need some mulling to do over the bed itself, and how I'm going to get that to work. That just requires a little bit more thought, and my brain isn't 100% today, bit of a headache, so I'm just going to take a break and think about what I want to achieve before I make a boo-boo. But yeah, it's looking more roomy and more spacious, but once I put the bed in it won't. But yeah, coming along, and I love the storage underneath.